really interesting
Entrepreneurship
number.
is all about a way of life. I think it's a way, how do you look at opportunities and overcoming those difficulties? I think people with disabilities are better placed to be entrepreneurs because they know how to leverage the limitations that exist and become successful. So they know how to become an entrepreneur. It's only that they don't have equitable opportunities to leverage their strengths.
Welcome to Clicks and Bricks Podcast. We talk about the entrepreneur mindset.
If you get one shot at this, what kind of shot are you going to take?
If we forget who we are, they're going to forget who you are.
And you've got an adversity story that's out of this world.
Everything from that Main Street brick and mortar to that billion-dollar manufacturer.
Aarti, thank you so much for joining us today. Specifically for your cause, I am really excited to talk to you and honored to talk to you today because what you're doing for the world is so important. What Clicks and Bricks does is we try to inspire people to start their business. And you've taken it a step further and you help people with disabilities start their business, which it just lights my heart up to hear that. And I'm super excited to talk to you about your why you did this and all that stuff. But before we jump into that, do you mind introducing yourself to the audience and just giving a little bit of a background about who you are?
Hey, thank you so much for inviting me today. It's an honor is all mine. My name is Aarti Sahgal, and I'm the founder and CEO of Synergies Work. We are a nonprofit organization that supports entrepreneurs with disabilities. As I say, we help bridge the opportunity gaps that exist between the disability community and the business community. So as I'm a mother, more importantly, I have two sons. My oldest son is also in the venture world, and my youngest son is 22 years old and has Down syndrome. And that's the reason why I pivoted when he was born, and my life moved to understanding what I call the two worlds that exist between us, the disability world and very different, the larger world that exists for everybody else. And so my purpose is how do we bridge those gaps that exist.
That is such an admirable cause. I know in America today, we're talking about the difference between equality and equity. And what you are doing is you're trying to give people with disabilities a more equitable stance.
Yes, exactly.
To get into entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. Because when we talk about equity, and starting in entrepreneurship, there aren't many opportunities that are available to people with disabilities to set up their own businesses. If I were to ask you, how many entrepreneurs do you know who have a disability? And you'll be really struggling to come up with even
I think I know a lot that are slightly autistic.
Awesome.
On the autism scale, but like my son's nonverbal autistic, so he'd have a really challenging time starting a business. But I do know some that are functioning with autism that are business owners, but that's about it.
Yeah, but I can tell you that I'm glad to hear, that's just proves my point that I haven't entered a room where I haven't found somebody who has a loved one with a disability. So because 1 in 4 in America has a disability. And yet the resources for your son or my son to set up a business are minimal, So, and we work with non-verbal autistics, and we have had them go through our Incubator program who have set up successful businesses. So yes, I would love to learn more about your son. And if he ever wants to set up a business, we'll be happy to talk to him about it. I believe there are thousands of incubators, accelerators in the country, and none of them talk to entrepreneurs with disabilities. So when we talk about diversity and we talk about bringing equity, if we do not include people with disabilities in that conversation, we are losing and leaving behind a huge chunk of our population.
25%.
Yes, 25%, 86 million people.
It's a huge number. And,
that's right.
And they're capable people.
Absolutely. I believe, and Synergies Work's biggest value is that we believe that everybody in this world has a talent. or a gift to offer. And that gift can be a gift of hand, a gift of heart, or a gift of head. So
Right.
when we talk about equity is that, I was just putting together, looking at some numbers, and I love to share these numbers. When we talk about small business growth and small business success rate, statistics and research shows that on an average, there is a 50% chance of a small business to be sustainable or grow successful in their 5 years, when they're 5 years old. And our statistics by Department of Labor have done a small research, found out that if a business started by an entrepreneur with a disability, the success rate of theirs is 65%. Now, doesn't that break the barrier and the misconception that we have? It's not only that they are capable of doing business, they are more than capable of building a successful business if the supports are given.
Okay, that's a very interesting statistic. One of my favorite books is How to Lie with Statistics. And I would love to really jump into there, because I think some people could say, well, then maybe that's the exception. Only the exceptional people with disabilities get to that point. But it's a really interesting number.
Entrepreneurship is all about a way of life. I think it's a way, how do you look at opportunities and overcoming those difficulties? I think people with disabilities are better placed to be entrepreneurs because they know how to leverage the limitations that exist and become successful. So they know how to become an entrepreneur. It's only that they don't have equitable opportunities to leverage their strengths. Yes. So I think they're in a better position to be successful.
I've always said one of the key strengths that all entrepreneurs must have, it's a must-have strength for entrepreneurs, is the ability to overcome adversity. And Absolutely. People with handicaps know that in spades, right? They've got overcoming adversity. That's what they do from day one, or from the day one of their disability. I guess I'm assuming all kinds of disabilities you deal with, amputees, all across the board.
Yes, when we talk about disabilities, generally for everybody, can be a physical disability, it can be a sensory disability, it can be an intellectual disability, or it is a mental health problem that you're facing. We do not ask for, I'm not a state government asking for your proof. I say, if you self-identify as a person with a disability, you are welcome to join the I2I program. What we are looking for is your business idea and your passion to make that business succeed.
Right. I actually saw a video the other day, and I don't recall who was saying it, but they basically say people with really high IQs have trouble making lots of money because they have this analytical mind that can really diagnose all of the problems. And if you diagnose too many problems, you just won't ever start, right? And so sometimes it takes somebody a little bit delusional to get started, right? I mean, before we had the microwave, somebody had to think about, I want a box that I can push a button and have something hot in a couple seconds. Before that took somebody a little bit of delusion to go down that path, right? So I think we'll see some pretty interesting stories come from people from disabilities and the companies that they start. You told me two stories before we started. You have an autistic boy, or man, I guess we didn't talk about his age, that went through your program and now is running a successful company. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey that you worked with him on?
Yeah, this gentleman, he's 38 years old. We met him at the beginning of the COVID pandemic. Before that, he had spent 8 years in the Florida State Hospital. He was going through some psychiatric problems. Had an altercation, and that's where he was for 8 years. And to listen to his story, his mom would petition every 6 months to say that she had all the support to keep her son at home, but for 8 years she could not get him out. And when they did get him out, they moved to Georgia, hoping to find better opportunities for this gentleman. And he had always had a dream to go to college, only to find that there were not many opportunities. So in 2020, beginning of 2020, I met this gentleman, and he came with a whole bunch of items that he had crocheted: beanies, bags, shawls, a lot of stuff. And so it was evident that he had a talent, that he had this opportunity, and he used to knit because it calmed and soothed his mind. So we helped him set up a Etsy shop where now he sells and is an independently a business owner. You can reach him at Brandon Crochet on his Etsy shop. Importantly, he got into college because he always wanted to go to college. So he got into Liberty College to study. And then after 6 months, he decided, I don't want to study. I'm happy doing my crochet. but that's a choice, to be able to do that and then make a choice that I want to or I don't want to pursue this path is also very important. So to give that choices is critical. So that's somebody I believe that, is important, that giving a person that flexibility to pursue, to be their best self. That's what entrepreneurship allows you. It gives you to be your own boss. It gives you the flexibility of time, transportation, but most importantly, you're not living the norms by somebody else. It gives you to be your best self. Do what really works for you. Just to share the example of this young man who is in Georgia. He is 23 years old. He's a non-speaking autistic, uses a letterboard to communicate, and has his mother is his communication regulator. He set up a peer-to-peer counseling for other non-speaking autistics because they believe they are misjudged and not regarded as people contributing to the society. So he's become a voice for that community, and he is writing, representing himself and his community in various conferences and talking about how to support other non-speaking autistics. On the other hand, we also have a lot of other businesses run by folks who might be blind and who are doing web accessibility designing, and people who are voiceover artists who are autistics. Okay, somebody who has a cerebral palsy is a graphic designer. Someone who's putting together organic soaps and doing a very successful business of selling to boutique shops. So there's a range of businesses that we cover across all diversity of disabilities and across the country.
So I think in 2022, we're entering a really interesting part of society and how capitalism is ran. Historically, people thought, I'm going to open a business so I can get rich and have all these employees and I won't have to work much. But really, what it sounds to me like, and correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of these businesses are solopreneurs that they're creating, that they're creating a livelihood for themselves. Maybe not rich, but they're self-sustaining. They can have a nice place to live, and they earn their own income, and they create products and services for the community. And maybe they're not all going to have employees, but some of them might.
Right. Yeah, you're right, Ken, that they are at this time micro businesses where they're one, but some of them have also hired other people. So it's always like most of them have at least, if not two, at least one employee with them. So it's not always self-employment, it's an micro-entrepreneurship, so where they have a minimum of 1 to 2 employees. So they're not just sustaining themselves, they're building employment and having a ripple effect on the economy.
Wonderful. That's even better. So, and I don't like to discount smaller businesses. My favorite companies to run are less than 10 employees. I've been in big companies. After 30 employees, I start to get lost and I don't know everybody's name anymore. And it's just not as fun for me to run big companies. So I find it very admirable to create these smaller communities of business that people can really enjoy their work. And I'm sure it's very enjoyable for them too, because they're really doing what they love to do.
Yeah, there are if I have my numbers correct, 92% of all small businesses are micro businesses, which is having less than 5 employees, including the entrepreneur himself or the person who started it. So that's 92% of all small businesses that we are talking to.
Well, and 90% of the businesses in the country I don't know the exact number, are small business, right?
Yes.
Big businesses less than 10%, I think.
Yes, that's right.
If I recall correctly. Right.
Yeah.
So it is America. Like it is the picture of America across the board. It's the American dream, or it's at least one of the American dreams, to own your own business and forge your own path. Now, I have a nonverbal autistic son. Yes. I have a nonverbal autistic son.
Yes.
And I know that if he's got something on his mind that he's going to accomplish, not many things in the world that can get his mind off of that. And 65% success rate when you have a disability involved, somebody that starts their business, that's still, 35% that don't make it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And for a guy like me, failure comes pretty easy. I'm used to it, right? I've done it a bunch. For every success that I've had, I've probably had 10 to 100 failures behind that. How do you deal with a person? Some are different than others, but the neurological disorders take it really, really hard. How do you prep them for failure or the potential for failure when they're starting, or do you just ignore that fact that it could happen?
No. So when I say that 65% are likely to survive or to succeed, I did not give you what is Synergies Work number. Okay. Right. And secondly, this was a small research done by the Department of Labor. So the failure rate of entrepreneurs with disabilities in the general population is far greater because there aren't enough supports or equitable supports for them. But people who have gone through our I2I program, their failure rate is only 4%. So we have had, yes. So what we do is that it's a 10-week immersive program, which is the Incubator program. You go through it every week. We meet on a Wednesday, and then we follow it up with a one-to-one session on a Friday, so we can know what's happening. On Wednesday, we invite business leaders to come and talk to our cohort, which is a 15 to 20 people cohort on a particular topic. And then we do one-on-one sessions. And at the end of the 10-week, they do a demo day, again, where business community is invited to listen to the cohort and give their feedback on the business, build organic relationships between the business community and the entrepreneur. We provide impact grants because a certain amount of seed capital is needed to build the business off the ground. And many entrepreneurs with disabilities, as you know, do not have access to credit or banks and finances because of the systemic barriers that exist in our system. And then we continue to sustain our entrepreneurs for the next 2 years. Every month we have open office hours where they can reach out, pose questions, and we help them access resources. And right through the year, we bring in business leaders to continually talk about certain topics which we believe are important for our entrepreneurs to grow. The reason being that all of us need a safe space to fail and then get up and try again. That dignity of failure also is important, and to try it out, to say again, we know that the failure rate in any startup business is very high. And if it is X number for a person without a disability who has a lot of resources, they can choose between access to education, higher education, technical education. And then when they graduate out of school, you're expected to go and have an employment. But employment doesn't happen in, a vacuum. I know someone knows someone, and that's how networks and relationships and connectedness, as they say, happens. But that is not available to people with disabilities. So those are the barriers that exist. And that's what we at Synergies Work, as the name suggests, are grappling with. I don't say we have found a perfect blueprint to success, but we are hoping that more people buy in and realize that connectedness is the key, the secret ingredient So everything that we do, we want to build those relationships between our entrepreneurs and the business community. Mentors, we match them up with mentors who are committed to meeting with them every month, at least once a month, if not more, so that they can build those connections. So that's how to do it. And yes, failure can happen. I don't ignore the failures, but sometimes the failures are good because maybe that business is not viable business. Maybe it is not right fit at that right time. Maybe they need to go back to the drawing board and think again and come up with a better idea.
Right. So, and I know that when you start a business, people do it different ways. You'll have a lot of people that will tell you right out of the gate, you have to have your exit strategy in place, right? You have to know who your potential exits are, or you know what your end goal is. With the disabilities, Americans with disabilities, and they're starting a business, does success look different than it would to somebody else that was starting a business?
No, I don't think so. Success looks the same any which way you look at it. Setting up a business looks the same any way as you look at it. Any business that has to be successful has to be grounded in purpose, I believe. If you have businesses grounded in purpose, irrespective of whether you have a disability or non-disability, your success rate increases. So we definitely go through the same steps with our entrepreneurs like any other incubator accelerator. So success for them is the same. Our entrepreneurs are more committed, more motivated, and more ambitious and tenacious, I think, than anybody else. It's just unfortunate that the world is taking so much time, but I see it's also in a good time. As you said, Ken, at the beginning, it's a great time to be in when, for whatever reasons, the last 2 years have made us think and made us, I think we are standing at a portal and it is up to us as humanity. How do we want to go forward? Do we want to go all together, or we want to go only as a singular me, my, and myself kind of
I'm a big fan of the Declaration of Independence, and if we the people doesn't mean all the people, then it doesn't hold water for me. So, and I think that we all have the right to pursue happiness, and what you're doing for 25% of the country that, admittedly, I've done it too, right? I look at my son, he's nonverbal, and I scratch my head. I'm like, what's he going to do when he grows up? He can't talk. How's he going to do an interview? How are these things going to happen? So what you're doing, I think is applaudable, and there needs to be more out there, right? More.
Absolutely. The only thing that I would like to make suggestion is that we don't do it for 25%. We do it for all of them, because what the entrepreneurs give back to the world has an impact on everyone. It's a win-win. So when we have somebody coming in and being a mentor, without doubt, our mentors take away much more than what they give.
Yes.
So it's a win-win for everyone.
Absolutely. If somebody wanted to learn more about your program, how would they do that?
Well, they can subscribe to our newsletter. They can go to our website, which is www.synergieswork.org, and they can subscribe to the newsletter. There is on the website a header partner, which gives you various ways that you can partner with us. You can be a mentor, you can be a speaker and share the expertise that you have. You can volunteer by doing that. You can ask us to come and host a diversity, equity, and inclusion workshop for your corporation so that we can bring up the disability piece in the part of this DEI equity conversation. There are various ways that you can build partnerships and support us.
Wonderful. I would like to donate a year of hosting for your next 100 students.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you so much, Ken. You are taken.
Yeah, I think it's important. And I mean, they're all going to need websites, and
yes,
that's what I do on the other side of this crazy podcast. So I think it's so cool what you're doing, and thank you so much for it. And as somebody that has a son that has a disability, I scratch my head all the time. And you've changed my perception a little bit to scratch my head and thinking that I've got to provide for him when I'm gone, but he could be a business owner.
Absolutely. I think you give him a little more credit and think of all the opportunities that exist for him. Don't let his autism or his nonverbalness be a limit on what he can do.
Right. So if somebody's out there and they have a disability or a family member of somebody with a disability and they're watching the show, what are some of the first steps that they should be doing before they reach out to you, say, hey, I want to start a business?
So it's interesting you asked this question. We are opening a platform, a learning hub, which is going to be one of its kind in the country, free resources created by entrepreneurs with disabilities, which allow people to think creatively, to explore on their own time and their will, what does it mean to set up a business. So it's not you and I or somebody who does not have a disability telling them. It is some of the own entrepreneurs who are going to talk about what they need to do. So that is going to be the learning hub. It's synergieswork.org/learn. So that's a free resource that people can access. But secondly, I think it's very important for people to look at entrepreneurship. I think is a way of life. How do we look at things, challenges, not as challenges, but as opportunities of growth? And every fall, every quarter, actually, we do a couple of idea generation workshops where people who just have ideas can just register in, and we can have a brainstorming session, tell them how to think through their ideas, develop their ideas, pitch their ideas, and do that little formative work at the background before they feel that they're ready to go through the 10-week immersive program and expand their idea. So that is something that they can always apply for, and we will for the next quarter and see if they have an idea and what they need to do to make it a reality and take that idea forward. And also, as I said, it's a mindset perspective. I think you need to be internally optimistic to be an entrepreneur. Every time. So you have to look at things, optimistically. If there is a problem, what's a goodness in there? What is there that I can turn it around and pivot
right
to make it into an advantage?
Does the entrepreneur need to be in Atlanta to participate in this incubator program?
No, you don't need to be in Atlanta. Everything that we do is virtual.
Wonderful. And so it's a 10-week program. Does it start every 11 weeks? You start a new program, or do they overlap?
No, it's twice a year, one in spring, one in fall. Okay. I don't know, maybe next year we'll have to do 3 because the number of applications are just too many for us to fill up only 2 cohorts.
And how many students can you do in each session?
Up to 20. We try to keep it to 15, but sometimes we just move it up to 18 to 20.
Wonderful. And obviously, if anybody can donate money helps solve a lot of problems. Outside of finance, what are some of the things that you need if somebody's watching and they say, hey, I want to help? What are some of the other things that you need at the top of the list?
So as I mentioned, we want you to think, when you're thinking about equity conversations within your corporations, your businesses, we want you to think about people with disabilities. Have those conversations on diversity by including people with disabilities in that conversation, most importantly. And if you want us to come and host a conversation, a lunch and learn, we'll be happy to do that. If you want to have a talent or a particular area that you think can contribute and come and speak to our audience about it, please reach out. We'd love for you to come and speak. If you think that you'd like to mentor an entrepreneur, apply to us. We will find the right match between the mentor-mentee. So these are some of the ways that we look at, ways which you can engage, but importantly, if you're listening to this conversation, you already have an inclination towards this topic, and we're grateful to you for that.
Right. Wonderful. Aarti, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate your time today and everything that you're doing for the world. It's really, really important work, and I could not thank you enough.
No, thank you so much for your time and for inviting me. I appreciate it.
I hope we talk again soon. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
That's it for today's show, folks. If you'd like to join my text line community, the number is 314-370-2871. All you have to do to join that text line is send me any question about business or technology. I'll do all the research, and I'll give you an absolutely free, totally unbiased answer. Get to work.